The NFL trade deadline has come and gone, and the Philadelphia Eagles did a whole lot of nothing. Was it a mistake, or is the team ready to go forward? And how do I feel about the Washington Commanders bringing in Marshawn Lattimore? Let's break it all down. The Philadelphia Eagles today and Howie Roseman were surprisingly, to some, quiet at the trade deadline. But I kind of understand it. They made their splash trade earlier this season for Jahan Dotson. It didn't work out, but they traded away a third round pick to go get him. I could see why Howie's like, hey, let's pump the brakes and not make a lot of moves. And especially it makes sense on the offense. You have Jalen Hurts, who's playing at an MVP caliber over the last month, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert coming back from injury, Saquon Barkley. The O-line's playing great. There's no reason to bring in a guy on the offensive line. And in the secondary, like I mentioned, it's pretty crowded. Some people were saying Buda Baker to the Eagles. I just didn't see the Eagles investing that kind of capital when you have guys like Sidney Brown who can't even get playtime on this team. You know, you have obviously CJ Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Avonta Maddox, Darius Slay coming back from injury, Isaiah Rodgers. It is a loaded secondary. In the linebacker room, this team was actually cutting players. Devin White, no thank you, we don't need your services, they said. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean have been holding it down. I understood all that. Defensive line is where I think the Eagles should have attacked, and where I think it's a mistake that they did not. Because, let's face it, despite the defense playing excellent, the pass rush isn't there. Bryce Huff isn't what he was advertised to be. Josh Sweat is cool, but he's not an elite pass rusher. Jalen Carter can only do so much from the middle, and Jordan Davis was always a run-stopping type of guy. Yes, they have some guys that they bring in like a Nolan Smith for other plays, but nobody that's a real game changer on this defensive line. And it's one thing if you're not going to have an elite pass rusher. I'm not telling you that the Eagles had to go get Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, which would have taken an arm and a leg even if they were available. But the Philadelphia Eagles should have made the deal to get Preston Smith from the Packers. The Philadelphia Eagles should have made a deal to go get Zadarius Smith. Instead, now the Lions have him, one of your biggest rivals, if not your biggest competition in the entire NFC. The Eagles should have picked up the phone and said, Carolina, what's it going to take to get Jadeveon Clowney? The Eagles should have picked up the phone and said, New York Giants, Joe Shane, what's it going to take to get Azeez Ojulari? New Orleans Saints, what's it going to take to get Chase Young? And I have no doubt that Howie picked up the phone and saw what the price tag on these players were. But when it comes to competing with Detroit and Washington, who both got better today, and Philly stayed pat, I don't love it as an Eagles fan, if I'm being honest with you. I like the team, and I think it's a Super Bowl worthy roster, but I would argue your two biggest competitors in the NFC, Detroit, who is an arm and a leg above everybody else in the NFC right now, I'll say it, and the Washington Commanders, who are currently half a game up on you in the NFC East. Both of those teams added real difference makers, and you stayed pat. Meaning, I better start to see some production out of Bryce Huff, some production from this defensive line, or else I'm going to sit back and think, what a missed opportunity at the trade deadline to not send a 4th and a 5th round pick to Carolina and get a Jadeveon Clowney, or a 4th and a 5th round pick to New Orleans to get a Chase Young. And that's the truth of the matter. Philly should have bought in on the defensive line, and they didn't. And now we're kind of at the, hey, Fangio, you got to go get something out of Bryce Huff. Hey, Jalen Carter, time to go be that X Factor player that we drafted you to be. Hey, Josh Sweat, going to need at least, you to average a half a sack per game the rest of the season. That's what production I need from this defensive line. And then for Washington, the Commanders went out and got Marshawn Lattimore. And, when I looked at Washington as a rival in the NFC East before today, I'm going to be honest to you guys. I kind of thought we were going to have their number because I didn't think there was a shot in hell that they could guard A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Marshawn Lattimore bridges that gap. Marshawn Lattimore has me thinking, hey, Washington's ready to compete with us for the NFC East. And not that they weren't already a good team, but when you factor in just how good Dan Quinn has turned this defense around, it's not perfect, but they have vets, Bobby Wagner, Luvu, Jonathan Allen, now Marshawn Lattimore. They play at a fine level. Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels have figured out to have a very hyper-efficient offense with guys like Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, all producing. I'm like, this is real competition. And They're efficient where the Eagles can sometimes be inefficient. And obviously, I think nobody would doubt this. The Eagles have a more talented roster. But now, when we play Washington, you got to be on your A game because they're going to be on theirs. And with Marshawn Lattimore, it's not going to be as cupcake a matchup as we thought Emmanuel Forbes would be for A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I still have faith in the Eagles, but this trade deadline today, with the Eagles not making a move on the defensive line and with the Commanders getting better, adding Marshawn Lattimore, and the Lions getting better, adding Zadarius Smith, it wasn't a great day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me know your thoughts on the Eagles trade deadline. No moves in the comment section. How do you feel about this roster the rest of the way? If you love the Eagles, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now a quick word from my friends at Green Gridiron. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to my friends over at Green Gridiron for NFL helmets. You can see here the nice face mask, the sweet design. I got the black Eagles helmet. I kept it in the container because I use it as a little desk decor, but you could use it as desk decor, decoration around the house, a little knickknack for, your TV stand. The gift giving season is almost upon us. If you know an NFL fan, it doesn't even have to be Eagles. They've got all 32 teams, NFL partnered brands. You know that you're getting good quality stuff. Be sure to check out the link in the description. I'll also have it as the pinned comment. But thank you to my friends over at Green Gridiron. Go get you a helmet today. Once again, I appreciate all of you guys for checking out the channel. The link for the Green Gridiron will be in the description as well. I'll have it in the comment section. I appreciate the support. I'll catch you next time. Peace.